Welcome to the Profit Code. 4 brothers each received $100,000 from their family, along with a secret Oolong milk tea recipe. 4 years later, the results were shocking. The one brother was broke and physically worn out. The second brother was doing okay but felt stuck. The third brother was making good money but stayed mostly invisible. And the fourth brother, Jake, he ended up owning all of them. If you still believe the best product always wins, this story will change your mind. The oldest brother, Michael, acted like a true craftsman. He opened a small tea shop in a quiet old town alley. He believed customers wanted real quality and soul in their drink. Michael refused to let anyone else make the tea. Every morning, long before sunrise, he was in the kitchen by himself. He picked the tea leaves, roasted them by hand, and carefully mixed everything to create the perfect creamy foam. His tea tasted amazing, rich, smooth, and full of flavor, but he could only make about 35 cups per hour. He worked so hard that his shoulders and back started hurting badly. Michael thought he owned a business, but in reality, he had just created a tough, tiring job for himself. If he got sick or needed a break, his income dropped to zero. His own physical limits became the ceiling on how much money he could make. The second brother, David, was smarter about efficiency. He opened his shop in a busy business district where office workers wanted fast service. David didn't want to work in the kitchen like Michael. Instead, he spent a whole month writing a detailed standard operating procedure. He measured everything exactly, the roasting temperature down to 1 degree, the exact amount of milk, and exactly how many times to shake the drink. He bought good machines and hired college students to follow his instructions. While Michael was exhausted every day, David sat in the back office, drank coffee, and checked his sales dashboard on the computer. His tea was only about 95% as good as Michael's, but he could sell 500 cups every hour. David had broken free from doing all the work himself. He wasn't really selling tea anymore. He was selling a repeatable system. The third brother, Ryan, saw things differently. He didn't want to fight for customers in his own shop. He thought, why serve one customer at a time when I can control the supply? Ryan flew to Taiwan and bought the entire year's harvest from the best tea farmer at a big discount. He built a warehouse in the suburbs and never opened his own store. Instead, Ryan approached 50 small cafes and convenience stores that were struggling. He told them, use my secret tea base and my brand. I'll supply everything. You just sell it, and we'll split the profits. His tea base quietly went into all those stores. Ryan paid no rent and dealt with no customers. Every time someone bought a cup of milk tea in those places, Ryan made money. He wasn't running shops. He was the invisible supplier behind the scenes. The youngest brother, Jake, was the hardest to understand. He opened his shop in a fancy, expensive part of town, but he didn't spend his inheritance on kitchen equipment. Instead, he spent it on expensive lawyers and branding experts. His brothers thought he was being foolish. After all, why would a tea shop need a legal team? Jake didn't bother explaining. He turned his brand into a must-have luxury symbol. He even gave away 20% of his company to a famous influencer, just to get their support. Soon, young people were lining up at his shop for the experience, even though the tea costs twice as much as it should. Jake wasn't focused on the profit from each cup. He focused on getting more customers and making the company worth millions. While his brothers were busy counting small change, Jake was meeting with big investors. 4 years later, his plan paid off. Jake's company went public on the stock market and became incredibly valuable. Using the money he raised, he made his final moves. He bought Ryan's company to control the supplies and lower his costs. He franchised David's business model to quickly open shops in 50 different cities. He hired Michael, who was now broke and tired, to be his head of product quality. By hiring Michael, Jake used his brother's handmade reputation to give his own brand a sense of history and tradition. Brothers started with the same recipe, same amount in hand, but their thinking determined their destinations. Michael did everything himself, the craftsman. He sold his labor and time. David built a system with clear instructions and hired workers. He sold efficiency and operations. Ryan controlled the supply. He sold leverage through distribution. Jake used lawyers and capital to own the recipe, the brand, and parts of his brother's businesses. He sold and owned the business itself. Which type of thinking do you have? Subscribe to the Profit Code. It's time to unlock your full potential.